In the early 1980s, Lebanon was a nation in ruins. Civil war had turned its cities into battlegrounds, its neighborhoods into sectarian zones, and its people into refugees. Beirut, once called the Paris of the Middle East, was now scarred by violence, militias, foreign armies, and religious factions fought for control. The 1982 Israeli invasion, aimed at driving out the Palestinian Liberation Organization, PLO, only deepened the chaos. In this turmoil, the United States joined a multinational peacekeeping force, alongside France, Italy, and Britain, to stabilize the country and protect civilians. For Americans, it was a mission of hope. The Cold War had often been about confrontation, but Lebanon felt like a chance to use power for peace. President Ronald Reagan described it as a moral duty to help a broken nation stand again. U.S. Marines landed in Beirut in 1982. They set up base near the city's airport, tasked with keeping peace among rival militias. At first, the sight of disciplined American troops patrolling the dusty streets gave locals a sense of safety. But as the months passed, the mission grew more dangerous. Factions viewed the U.S. not as neutral peacekeepers, but as allies of their enemies. Every patrol became a risk. Then came the morning of October 23, 1983, a date etched forever in American memory. Just before 6:30 a.m., a truck packed with explosives barreled through the gates of the Marine barracks in Beirut. The explosion was massive, one of the deadliest non-nuclear blasts in history. The four-story building collapsed instantly, killing 241 U.S. servicemen, including 220 Marines. The images that followed broke America's heart. Rescue workers digging through the rubble, dust-covered survivors being carried out, and the haunting sight of rows of coffins draped in the American flag. Across the United States, the nation went silent. Families gathered around televisions, crying as the names of the fallen were read. President Reagan called it a despicable act of cowardice, and vowed that their sacrifice would not be forgotten. But behind the grief came questions. Why were we there? Was this our war to fight? The bombing was later linked to a then little-known militant group, Hezbollah, backed by Iran. For many Americans, it was their first glimpse of the kind of extremist violence that would define conflicts in the decades to come. By 1984, Reagan made the painful decision to withdraw U.S. troops. It was not surrender, it was recognition that peacekeeping in a land of endless factional war was impossible without political unity. Still, for many in uniform, leaving Lebanon felt like abandoning fallen brothers. The Beirut bombing remains one of the most emotional chapters in U.S. military history. It symbolized both the nobility and the vulnerability of America's role in the world, the willingness to risk lives for peace, and the tragedy that can follow when idealism meets chaos. For American audiences, Lebanon is remembered not just as another Cold War flashpoint, but as a moment of raw humanity. The faces of the young Marines, many barely in their 20s, became symbols of selfless service. Their mission may have failed, but their courage transcended politics. Every year, at the Marine Corps Memorial in Camp Lejeune, their names are read aloud, a reminder that peace has a price, and sometimes that price is heartbreak.